Good afternoon. It is 1:06 p.m. here on the west coast of the United States. We are starting at 1:06 because of the extra time that was 9 minutes long in the United States versus Wales match. The first one for the U.S. They played pretty well, in my opinion. They could have won the game. I think they had their chances. Really poor on their crosses, in my opinion. But they had their opportunities. I think they played well. I think they played good game. I think Wales came back pretty strong in the second half. A bit disappointed with the captain, Pulisic. I think he could have done a bit more. But I'm not playing in the World Cup. They are. So it's easy to criticize and say all sorts of stuff. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. I think it was a good match. What do I think about it? I think it was a good match. I think the penalty was it's very clear penalty. You come in there, if you come in on a challenge like that, it's a penalty 10 out of 10 times. Come in from behind, your knees up, you're hitting the back of the player. Yeah. Hey, what up? 911 Glock. How you doing? Let's see as folks are joining in. Go ahead and hit that like button if you already haven't. That always helps with the algorithm. And I put up a post in the community tab section of the channel that during the duration of the World Cup, we will be starting at 1 p.m. And we'll see how that works, by the way. If I realize it's working much better than 12, that's all West Coast time, by the way. If I realize it's working a lot better than 12, then we'll just keep it at 1. But if it's not, then we'll just go back to 1. So it's a nice trial period as well. Here on the west coast of the United States, the games for the World Cup range, they start at 5. So I think it's 5, 8, and 11. I think all the games are at 5, 8, and 11. I don't think there's a game at 4. For some reason, I remember thinking there might have been some games at 4, but so my son and I were up at 5 a.m. today watching the England versus Iran match. We actually skipped the Senegal-Netherlands match, but we watched the 6-2 thumping of Iran. So, yep, 5, 8, 11. Oh, no, there are some games that are, like Group F on Wednesday, November 23rd. Croatia-Morocco, 2 a.m. Not going to watch that one. But Germany-Japan, 5. Spain-Costa Rica, 8. And then Belgium-Canada, 11. Watch out for Canada. I think they have a strong team. Hey, what up, what up? Canada's got a strong team. It'd be very interesting to see how Uruguay does. Very interesting mixture of players. There's an Armenian guy. I think he's been called up for Uruguay, so... My son's excited for this stuff, so it's fun. I'm excited, but he keeps saying, "When's the next game? What time is the next game?" So yeah, let's jump into our conversations, guys. Our weekly conversations. Or no, they're not just weekly; they're multiple times a week. Is my voice a bit low? You guys, let me know. If my voice is a bit low, let me know. Oh, when the USA will host the 2026 World Cup, the time zones will be different for the rest of the world, correct? In this World Cup, you watch them all early in the day. Yes. Yeah, but I'm not very sure whether the time zones for us in the when it's in the well, it's not just in the USA. Number one, it will be in Canada and Mexico as well, but depending where they're playing and all that stuff. So some some of the time zone will be like, I think, weird. If they're like playing on the East Coast at like 7, 8, if it's at like 7 p.m. on the East Coast, that's going to be really weird for West Coast folks. Middle of the day, 4 p.m. Not sure whether that's fun. But if they're playing at 10 p.m. at night, then yeah. Hey, Joel, God bless you too as well. Hey, what's up, Cody? Just, it's World Cup time, man. Every 4 years, our schedules change, our lives are a bit different. Yeah, since it's every 4 years, I just try to take advantage of the opportunity and watch the games and enjoy them. And I mean, it's when you don't have children, it's a bit different. The fun thing is that I can watch with my son now and spend time with him. So, like I said, I woke him up at 5 a.m. I told him last night, I said, hey, 5 a.m, man, we're watching the game. And he loves it. So he's not being forced or anything like that. Like literally I go, hey, wake up, game time. He'll just like, he sits up out of his bed like the Undertaker. For those of you guys who know wrestling and the reference, he'll just like pop up, like, let's go. And then so we'll sit there. And he's been doing this for a while, I would wake him up when he was 3, and we'd go to the pub at like 4:45, 4 a.m. We'd wake up, go to the pub, and watch some of the games. Not all the games are at 4:45, but he's done that with me. And then 6 o'clock games, 7 o'clock games, 8 o'clock games. So he loves it. He enjoys it. He plays soccer, so he understands the sport, loves analyzing it, and learns from it. So always cool. Hey, what's up, Dan? How you doing, man? What constitutes so I suppose you're asking this question because you listen to the Joe Rogan, Matt Walsh podcast. Correct? Let me know if that's where it's coming from, and then I'll tell you why I am asking. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. So, okay. Well, I'm going to make a video that's going to touch up on the subject. I'm about 2 hours into it's a 3-hour long podcast. So I'm 2 hours in. I'll finish that later on today. And then, and I'm taking notes, and we'll go from there. So, sorry about that. Just a little distraction. So your question is, what constitutes the real marriage? Can a man and a woman decide to be married? Do you mean like just by themselves? Like, hey, we're married now? This is always a complicated matter, right? Because we have like convention, and then convention in the sense of like social understanding, social conventions, cultural practices. Since I don't think, marriage is just like this guy and this girl, and then that's it. You are bound to have some kind of a communal approval or disapproval, blessing. I mean, if you're a part of a church, it just seems very weird to Yeah, so it seems weird to be part of a church community and then have some things like so individualistic. So I think that there's bound to be something in there of like being blessed by your elders, being blessed by your families, and accepted like, hey, these people have made a covenant with one another. In regards to kind of how that happens and the structure of it and all that stuff, then it could be a bit different as long as it's there. But I don't think it's necessarily, it makes any sense in a Christian sense to say, hey, me and this woman have decided that we're married now. Like that's our covenant. Unless it's just like really weird situations and scenarios in which you find yourself in a place where you're the only two Christians. There's no church. Nobody really knows that you guys are Christians. Like, you can always come up with some kind of a weird scenario like that. But yeah, I would say generally community is going to be involved in this thing, especially your leadership in the church. Why is God necessary for objective morality to exist? Even Muslims say they believe in God and they have a weird understanding of morals. Yeah, because they have a weird understanding of God. So, according to my understanding, at the very least, Muslims believe that God could create any set of morals that he so pleases to. Even things like he could technically say certain things are right and wrong that we think are the opposite, right? So as my understanding goes of Islamic theology, and I could be wrong here, but is that they don't view God in the same sense that we view God in regards to saying things about God. Like the Christian can make statements like God is love. Muslims make statements like God does loving actions. Those are two different things. Theologically speaking, the fine details of that and the nuances are very different stuff. So that's partly why you will get a different setup of morality. Like there are certain things where the Christian very easily can say God cannot do. Like it's impossible for God to do. Where I think maybe for Islamic theology, that might not be the case. They might not be able to say that. So that's essentially why you would have that kind of a difference there. Why they play 90 minutes, but both teams gets 1 and 1 point? Like you mean goal or point? Those are two different things. If you mean goal, then that's because they each scored 1 goal. That's the game. If you mean why do they each get 1 point, that's just a scoring system, right? So a winner gets 3 points, a draw or a tie gets 1 point, and a loss gets 0 points. And then you add them up, and whoever has the most points is the winner. I like it. If you mean why are they gonna play 90 minutes and only score 1 goal, my response is going to be that you've probably never played soccer or football, and you don't know how difficult it is to score a goal. So yeah, I'm not trying to be offensive, by the way. I hear this quite a bit from Americans, like, "Oh man, it's so boring. They play that long and they only get the game ends 1-0. Yeah, but it's the most exciting 1-0. It's not very easy to score in soccer. Here's the amazing thing about the beautiful game, that you can play 85 minutes and it's 0-0 back and forth. Like, for example, I think the Netherlands goalie came up big today. I think he probably had like 4 saves that were really good saves. I mean, could have been goals. And so yeah, you have a game like that. Keepers are doing really well, back and forth, 0-0, 85th minute, 87th minute, 1-0, 89th minute, 2-0, 91st minute, 3-0, game ends 3-0. And people think it was a blowout, like nobody had a chance. And it's like, no, 6 minutes, right? 6 minutes made a difference. And that's when you are a team of a when you're a fan of a team that does that. I mean, the feeling you get, the euphoria you get, the just excitement you get is phenomenal. If you're on the losing end, then it's one of the worst feelings you'll get. So it's an emotional roller coaster being a soccer fan. You really never know what's going to happen. Maybe in other sports, I'm not sure. Like basketball is not really like that. Like, back and forth. Okay, the Europe like 20, 15 points. I mean, definitely there's been some crazy comebacks from things of that sort. But every possession is almost some points. And that's very different. So I have I've actually predicted a bunch of. Actually, my prediction for. I'm in a group of prediction stuff. So my prediction for the U.S. Wales game was for the U.S. to win 2-1. So I guess I was pretty close to that. Let me see. How have I done prediction-wise? So I didn't predict the first game. The Ecuador game I didn't predict. Okay. England, I had predicted 3-0. It ended 6-2. Netherlands, Senegal, I had predicted 3-1. It ended 2-0. So 2-goal margin. U.S. 1-1 and it ended 2-1. Argentina and Saudi Arabia. I've predicted a 5-0 win for Argentina. Mexico, Poland, 2-2. That's my prediction for the Mexico-Poland game. We'll see if I'm right or wrong on that. In my opinion, chess is the most exciting sport. Well, I suppose so, but you can't be really like cheering on the side and yelling and like emotionally invested when you're watching it. Who believe in gays' marriage? I have no idea. What are you trying to say? Sorry, I don't understand what you're trying to say there. Which refs? No, I don't think so. I haven't seen bad reffing yet. Which game were you watching? Are you trying to say? Sorry, man, I'm really not understanding. Who believes in gay marriage? I mean, I get you're trying to say who believes in gay marriage, but like people who believe in gay marriage are the people who believe in gay marriage. Like, are you saying why do people believe in gay marriage? I get that there's some language stuff. No, what the U.S. game? Are you talking about the U.S. Wales game? Armenians are good at chess, but not at football. Armenians have, like, you have to realize that, number one, Armenians were good in football during the Soviet days. So there's a development. The United States weren't good, and some would still say aren't good. And they essentially started a soccer league in 1994. There were some leagues in the U.S., but current kind of development of it. It takes time, and we've seen recently some really solid Armenian players coming through. If you notice, by the way, most of the U.S. players now are playing in Europe. So in Germany, in England, in Italy, in Spain. And I suppose you're going to see something like that happening with a lot of the Armenian players as well. You're also going to have Armenians that are born and raised different places. So let's just suppose my son ends up becoming a soccer player. Well, he's going to have, as a matter of fact, he's a unique opportunity because he will have a choice to play for 3 different countries. Technically, my son qualifies to play for Armenia. He would qualify to play for Iran. And then he also would qualify to play for the United States because that's where he's born. And so you're going to see quite a bit, like you're going to see a bunch of Russian-born, American-born Armenians playing for the national team of Armenia in the future. And for example, like that young kid who's a superstar, right? Arsen Zakharyan, I think. He has been called up by Russia. He's like 16, 17 years old. But now, because of all the situation in Russia, he might be trying to change his citizenship to Armenia, and hopefully they'll make an exception where he would qualify to play for the Armenian national team. So that would be phenomenal because he's young and I think Chelsea are trying to get him. He's going to end up at a seriously good European team. I don't think the refs were bad. I just watched the game. So maybe I'm used to bad reffing. I'm not sure. Hello, MC. How would you describe the Trinity? Well, I would describe the Trinity the way that Christians have historically defined the Trinity or described the Trinity. The Trinity is the belief that there's only one God who is three in persons, one in essence or being. I don't use any analogies for the Trinity because every analogy fails. So I don't use any analogies. I just use logical kind of connotations that the Trinity is not a contradiction because we're talking about three persons, distinct persons, and one being. And the three and one are two different things we're talking about. We're not talking about the same thing being three in one, right? So we're not talking about like three persons and one person. We're not talking about three beings and one being. We're talking about what God is. That's the being aspect, which is one God, and then three in persons. And that's who God is. So that's the way I generally will explain it. Is there a certain bit of mystery to this? Yeah, I think there is a mystery to this, but I think anybody who does any theology, or not even just theology, and any kind of a serious study, there's going to be something where you're just like, I'm not sure, but we're just going to take it like that. And there's kind of a mystery. It just works. It makes sense. That's what Scripture reveals, in my opinion. When I look at the New Testament, especially, but when I look at the Bible, it presents a Trinity. You might want to do some reading on this. So if you want, you can email me at info@apologiacenter.com, and then I'll send you some literature you can read on this. But I think, let's see. Yeah, so James White wrote a book. I'm going to text the link right now. If you're interested in this subject, this is a really good book. It's called The Forgotten Trinity by James White. So I'd recommend that book. You guys can go and purchase that. By the way, Armenians are great at chess. My son is a really good chess player, and so we're trying to improve him in that area as well. He's a strategic thinker, so agree to disagree. Mkhitaryan is our best player. He's no longer our best player, but historically he's the best player for the national team. Well, there's some political reasons for this. My goodness, I completely forgot you were streaming today. Hey, PT, we just started. So yeah, we didn't start at 12. We started at 1 because of the World Cup. So you're not late at all. Do you think the Trinity could be represented through symbolic logic? Ooh. Yeah, yes. Well, anything could be technically represented through symbolic logic. And that's where you would show that it's not a logical contradiction. You can use symbolic logic for that, towards that end. God bless you too. Do you think that Christians in more recent times have a misunderstanding of works? I saw some people claim you need works along with faith to be saved. Yes, and okay, so I think this happens on both the, what's the word? Both ends, like both, uh, like on the spectrum, I guess, like both ends of it. So you will have some people who will say stuff like this, like you need works with faith, and then you will get people who just completely ignore works. Dallas Willard has a really good statement in which he says, faith is not opposed to effort. It's opposed to works. In the sense that you're working towards an end, like you're working to gain salvation or something like that. And definitely that's not biblical, because you believe and you are saved, and then your salvation, your newness of person, starts producing fruit, we would call, starts producing, creating good works. I don't think anybody disagrees with this from any portion. Now the question becomes, can somebody say that they believe and they're saved and then not produce works? Well, this is what James is talking about when he says, you say you have faith, but I will show you my faith by the works that I do. To me, it doesn't make any sense that you will have a person who genuinely repents and believes and has no positive works, no godly works in their life, no pursuit of God. Like, then I would say, probably not a Christian, regardless of what they're saying. What I would say is that it could vary in degree how much works you see. The issue is that with some people you see producing like a lot of solid stuff in their lives. And then with some people you don't see as much. And there could be many reasons why that's the case. There really could be. I think there could be issues of the way they were raised and how solid they are, and language differences. Like, I could do a whole kind of breakdown on that. It really, really, what I've seen is it could vary from person to person. So I'm very careful not to judge the amount of works someone is producing, even though I'm not satisfied if it's little. So my challenge is always to me and to others, produce more. And you can produce more if you do what's right and you're in good biblical community and stuff like that. But it shouldn't be the case like, oh, you're just barely producing anything, you're probably not a Christian. Like that I wouldn't do. I don't think it's right. I believe works are more or less confirmations of the genuine nature of one's faith rather than a prerequisite to gain. Yeah, correct. I mean, this is, good, I think, Protestant theology. Are you ready for a racist, colonist, patriarchal holiday? Just kidding. Happy early Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. I love Thanksgiving. It might be one of my favorite holidays because I think it's like authentically Christian, and it's very interesting that it is very, like, it comes from America. It's American, and I know Canadians have their version of it, but the fact that we get to thank God for his provisions, and we have a holiday to do that, and whether it was supposed to be institutionalized like a government, it probably wasn't, and then it was made that and all that. Nonetheless, I think it's a good thing. Is it all the things that you said? It seems to me that people generally don't know what took place and the difficulties people went through. It would be very nice. I just thought this, by the way. It would be very nice for Jordan Peterson to sit there and talk about the first Thanksgiving. I would really enjoy that. And talk about like how everybody was struggling, everybody was dying, everybody needed to share. So yeah. Will there be rewards for your works in heaven? Will those who did more works get more rewards, or maybe responsibility in heaven? So some people think so. Some people think that there's going to be a reward system in eternity. Some people think that reward system is only, if they're premillennialists, they think that the reward system, I think, is only the case during the millennium. Like we're going to be reigning with Christ and all that. I tend to not believe that there will be a rewards thing. I tend to believe that regardless of whatever it is that we've done, we will lay our crowns at the feet of Jesus, because it was him who worked in us, who helped us in all these things, who did all these things through us. So I don't see the point of it, really. And again, I think in scripture you get generally this teaching, but then you get this other teaching where we are just humbled before him and lay our crowns at his feet and confess that he, it is through him all of this stuff has been possible. So yeah, there's some people who really, really love teaching on this stuff, and I'm going to be a little critical here. By the way, we got 10 likes and 14 people in here. Guys, come on, hit that like button. Certain people who really enjoy preaching and teaching this whole like, do this stuff because you're going to be rewarded in heaven and stuff like that, I think are trying to encourage people and motivate people in all the wrong ways. If your reason for being godly and doing all the godly stuff is so that you are rewarded in heaven, then that's a very lousy reason. It's a bad reason. You ought to be doing it out of love. We ought to be pursuing these things and loving God with whatever it is that we have out of the love we have for God. So, but again, like I've seen churches where like they go nuts on this, like but I think it's a very bad way to motivate people, because it becomes about the stuff that God will give you and not God himself, and that I have an issue with. Do you think Croatia will beat Morocco? Yeah, I think Croatia will beat Morocco. Morocco's got a good team, but I think Croatia will beat Morocco. What's your take on near-death experiences or people that claim they had a vision? Excuse me. A vision or dreams going to heaven or hell. Those are two different categories, by the way. And I like that you separated them. There's the category of people who claim the second one, that people who say that they've died and gone to heaven or hell. I suppose this could very well be true, and I suppose that it's happened to some people. I don't get caught up in it. I don't get like really excited over it when somebody shares it. I go, okay, that's cool, and you just let time tell, because clearly there's been people who make stuff up. The issue I have with some of these experiences is that some of them are very contradictory to one another. And well, they both can't be true. So why is one way and the other one another way? So I have issues there. And there's answers to those questions. There could be various answers to those questions. But near-death experiences, near-death experiences, I think, happen all the time. If by that we mean people who genuinely die and come back to life, and within that time frame of the death and then coming back, they have various experiences. So let's just say they see themselves outside of their body. They see the doctors working on them. They travel through like a tunnel kind of thing, and like have various experiences. I think near-death experiences happen quite often, as a matter of fact. Even Islam has the Trinity too. I would want to know what that is. So I wouldn't just claim that they have a Trinity. I would want to know what is their Trinity and whether it's even defined the way we define the Trinity. If it's so obvious that Islam has a Trinity, but nobody accepts it, that none of the Muslims accept it, then maybe we're reading something into their religion. So the Forgotten Trinity, by the way, paperback is $16.99. On Kindle Unlimited, it's free, and yeah. What is this stuff? I just typed in Christian Apologetics on Amazon, and one of the books that just came up with a very, very interesting title. It says Limping with God, Jacob and the Old Testament Guide to Messy Discipleship. Does Amazon have some kind of a point system now? I don't get this. Yeah. Earn Kindle points when you buy books. Redeem for Kindle book credit. Is that new? Probably not. $3 for it. Okay. Sorry. Quran explains the Trinity but got it wrong. Yes, correct. The Quran actually says that Mary is part of the actual Trinity, but no Christians believe in this. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good argument against Islam, in the sense that it even gets what they think we're wrong about wrong. And since in Islam the Quran is completely dictated, and there can't be one mistake in there, and if that's a mistake, then God didn't reveal that. God can't be wrong. God can't be wrong even about the false stuff that other people believe. Yeah, I'm not a stickler when it comes to this stuff. I don't capitalize. I've written papers where I haven't capitalized God. Will there be different heavens or states of it? For example, when people die now versus after when Jesus comes back, are people being judged now and going to hell? Or will that happen after Christ's return? So, this is one of those things where not everybody's, agreed upon. Paul says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So it seems to be the case that Paul is talking, at the very least, for the believer, that when he or she dies, that then they are with God. But then the Bible also speaks about a final judgment that is to come. It could also be the case, like the final judgment that is coming is more of like a sentencing sort of thing, right? So there is a judgment. People get judged. They're in hell or heaven. And then ultimately there's going to be a sentencing of like the eternality of it, what is commonly called the white throne judgment, and then where all that stuff is just finalized. So it could be both, but it seems to me the case that, to me, Paul means if you die now, you will be with God. Um, okay, so I want to take this time right now. I want to take this time right now to tell you about how you can support Apologia Center, and that's through Patreon. Patreon.com/Apologia Center, and you can support us for as little as $5 a month and increase that. We have tiers up to all the ways. It's 510, 25, 50, 100, 200. But the way Patreon works is that if you hit the max and you want to give more than that, you can always give more than that. What you will just do is get the $200 perks, and there's perks all over. So at the very least, you could visit, and the link is in the description box. At the very least, you can visit patreon.com/Apologia Center and check that out. Also, in the description box, there is a link to my Udemy course, which is 50% off till Wednesday. There's a 50% discount I've put on there till Wednesday. So that's another way you can support the work that we are doing. And then you can always send one-time stuff via, I don't know if I have PayPal there, I think like Cash App and Venmo and stuff. So if you guys want to financially support this ministry, we would really appreciate it, especially if you're going to become a monthly contributor. So, yeah. I have a strong impression that Satan copied Judeo-Christianity to create Islam and then let Islam fight all Jews and Christians. You're not the only person that believes that. So, isn't everyone in hell right now? Sheol. Sheol just means grave in Hebrew. It's just where dead people go, like literally the grave, the ground. Okay. Hey Jelani, I don't know what you're doing, man, but or Hades in Greek. I don't think so. Again, I'm just going on what scripture in regards to what Paul says, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Jesus told the guy on the cross next to him, today I tell you the truth, today you will be with me in paradise. So that doesn't sound like people are going to Hades. Or like this other place in between. I think generally that idea comes from the parable Jesus gives, what is commonly called Abraham's bosom, the parable that Jesus gives about Lazarus and the rich man, which is a parable. I don't think we should build a theology on what eternity looks like from a parable. And the point of that parable is the people who won't believe, even if someone were to come back from the dead, which is exactly ended up happening. Jesus came back from the dead and a bunch of people didn't believe. Do you think similarities between ancient religions confirm each other? For example, Noah's flood is present in many religions. So they don't confirm each other. What they do is confirm that it's a true story, you could say. So because it is so widely attested for, and there's so many similar stories and all sorts of different beliefs and cultures, you would say something of this sort probably happened. Maybe even to a very high probability, something like this happened. Just remembered you mentioned that. But wasn't there something about the interpretation of the verse in the Bible? What are we talking about here? Oh, truly, truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. So if that's the passage, yeah, I mean, depending on where you put the comma, the meaning changes. If Jesus says, truly, truly, I say to you, if Jesus says, truly, truly, hang on. This is too big. There we are. Okay, so here's a statement. Truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. So if Jesus says, truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise, look at the way it's written, look at where the comma is, that would make sense. Or it could be, truly, I say to you today, comma, you will be with me in paradise. So the comment is being made today, eventually you will be with me in paradise. That could change the meaning, and some people do that, and they interpret that text that way. What I would say is Paul's statement about to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord is a more clear teaching that helps us understand this teaching. And I would go with that and say, no, we have good reason to believe that once we die, we are in God's presence. So it helps with that. What's my take on the age of the earth? So I'm not a young earther. I believe that the earth is old, much older, but I don't necessarily classify myself as an old earther because old earth means a bunch of stuff about interpreting Genesis that I don't necessarily agree with. So yeah. Truth will set you free. What's up? How you doing? It was the verse to be absent from the body. Oh, someone brought something up like that to me. I'm just like remembering that. But I forget who. Yeah. I'm forgetting who brought it up and what it was. I probably haven't done enough research into that text. That there was some, I don't know if there was a variant issue, but yeah, there was something. Any good books, a book you recommend besides Dr. James White? Um, Specifically on the Trinity or just books in general? Would you love to see a World Cup final between Brazil and England? Basically, the masters of football versus the creators of football. That would be a good one. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. That would be cool. I would also like to see, just for this World Cup, I would like to see an Argentina Portugal final with a Portugal win. For very obvious reasons, right? Last World Cup for two of the best players to ever live and versing each other in the World Cup final to settle it once and for all. That would be great. Portugal has a really, really good team. A lot of people are undermining them and they don't realize the quality that the team has. books in general to defend the faith. MC, in my description box, there is a link to a Google Doc that has a bunch of books that I recommend. And with all the links, you can use it to purchase the books as well. The book, okay, The Chosen has not used Book of Mormon quotes. This is false information. So my take is that people need to stop saying this because they never used any quotations from the Book of Mormon. And if you're interested in a really good breakdown of this, actually, let me. You guys realize we never did a 5-hour celebration, right? We will. So go check out John McCrae's channel. What do you mean? That's John McCrae. Good dude. And go to videos. And then go to right here, this video. This video. Really good video explaining whether that's a quote from the Book of Mormon or not. And it's not. Spoiler alert. I am the law. Okay. Time flies in a very unique way. If you're interested in a video about time and God, go check out my interview with Ryan Mullins. And we discuss God and time and break it down. And I think that's a phenomenal interview. So, in all sorts of weird ways, time flies. And then I will also release the graphic for our December interviews that are coming up that we do on Thursdays. Except sorry, guys, I'm just getting some text that I got to respond to. It's very important. Not ignoring you guys. Okay. In the Old Testament, God spoke in plurality. How did Jews reconcile those passages? Um, so it depends, but most of the time it seems to be like it's a divine kind of plural, like the we, divine we, very similar to the way Muslims explain the we um, statements. Some of them, some theologians, even Christian ones, will actually explain the we passages as it's a conversation with the divine council. So divine council theology will help explain that a bit. So, yeah. And then you stumbled on my video, and here you are. Well, thank you for being here. That's why we put them out there, so you guys can stumble upon them. How do you balance your life as a father and apologetics? Are you also active in your church? Um, I'm very active in my church. Number one, very. I'm an elder in my church, so I teach, I lead Bible studies. Up to very recently, I was preaching sermons on Sundays, up to like 3 weeks ago. But for the time being, I'm leading Bible studies on Thursdays. We're developing a way where I will teach. I will teach Sunday school classes. That's not for children, by the way. Adult Sunday school classes. Very active there. How do I balance my life as a father? Here's why I balance it. Father work and apologetics. Well, in an ideal scenario, my work would be apologetics and is apologetics. That's the goal at the very least. And then this is again something that we're developing. Work has generally been my work. I used to work for a church. I was a pastor, full-time pastor. That was my job. So I guess the challenge here is for anyone. How do you balance your life when it comes to your kids? I wouldn't just say father, but I would say as a husband, as a father. Sometimes it's very difficult. What I would say is that be active and present with your kids. So I'll give you a very simple scenario. It's 2 p.m. here, and my kids have soccer practice at 5. And that soccer practice, my youngest started playing soccer as well. So his practice starts at 5, and that practice will run from 5 to about 7:30. I want to say 10 out of 10 times, but I'll just, because sometimes there's emergencies that happen, 9.5 out of 10 times, I'm the one who is with them at those soccer practices. And I talk to them and I spend time with them. I just try to be present. I don't watch movies when my kids are around. I don't really turn on the TV and stuff, like passively watch it. I sit with them, I talk with them, I wrestle with them. I hug them and bite them and kiss them. Those ways help because then I'm present with them. So when I sit in the car, I'm generally not listening music and not talking to my kids. I have conversations with them. I don't listen to podcasts in the car if I'm not alone. I don't listen to music if I'm not alone. If my kids are there, that stuff is off and I'm talking to my kids. So, yeah. But it's difficult at times, obviously. And everybody's work schedule and flexibility matters and is different. So it's not as easy, let's put it that way. But you can do it. Do you have any thoughts on Cameron Bertuzzi's conversion to Catholicism? Yeah, I have thoughts, but I'll keep them to myself. I'll tell you why. Look, I'm not a Catholic, and I don't think people should become Catholic. That's my thoughts. But again, Cameron is someone that I don't know very closely like that, but I've met him, I've talked to him. I did an interview with him in the early stages of this channel, and very genuine, kind guy, by the way. But he posted something today. I want to read it to you guys. By the way, Gavin Ortland, if there's anybody whose thoughts here, if there's anybody from a Protestant perspective whose thoughts should matter on this issue, it's this dude. Okay. It's Gavin. So go check out Gavin's channel. Here's the video. I haven't seen this video yet, but even Cameron recommended people go watch this video. So I'll give you an example. Here's what Cameron put up today, and it was. This is partly why I want to be careful with this stuff. He said, my wife Brittany is still receiving unsolicited messages from Catholics welcoming her home, giving her advice, offering to send her resources, etc. I want to make it clear that Brittany Bertuzzi remains firmly Protestant. She's not open to considering Catholicism. This has been a very trying time for her and our family. The messages aren't helping, they're hurting. Give her privacy. One more time in case it's still not clear. Stop sending my wife messages. And he had posted something, and here's him saying, go watch it. He posted something saying, hey, can you guys chill, folks? And that goes for everyone. Like, I'm sure Protestants are probably sending messages and stuff like that too. Stop sending my wife messages. Stop offering this and that, and just stop it. Those of us who do this, and the Cameron's YouTube channel is huge. I forget I forget what it was. What was it? Let's see. So Cameron's got 156,000 subscribers and a very active community. Even on Facebook, he's got a very active community and stuff like that. And when we do this, people just think that they can just say stuff to us and be a certain way and have opinions about us. Like somebody commented in my thing saying like, why I'm not doing something if I'm a real Christian or something. And I was like, I don't have to do that. Hey, who are you to doubt my Christianity because I didn't do something that you think I should do? Right? But you just think you have an opinion on the matter. Like think about it a little bit, man. Process some information. Just because we put ourselves out there like this, and it's a difficult thing to actually make yourself public in this sense, because you realize a certain wall breaks down, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. So it's good because I get to meet people from all over the world, and people who aren't Christians and people who are Christians, people who are searching, genuine Muslims who want me to become a Muslim, the hateful folks, Christians who don't think I'm really a Christian, I'm fake. Now you get all of it, right? And so do I have opinions on him becoming a Catholic? I suppose I had opinions on him before he became Catholic, in the sense that he should not have. But he has now, right? He's become Catholic. And my theology allows for me to still affirm that he's a Christian. But I know there's people out there who don't, and then I think they're gonna. I was actually thinking about this morning. I was like, okay, and then what are you guys gonna say? Was he never a Christian? But you don't believe that someone can lose their salvation. So if you don't believe that, he was never a Christian. If you believe he's lost his salvation, that's completely different kind of scenario that comes into service. But it gets complicated. I mean, what I'm gonna say, I think the guy has. I'm not that close with him, but I know he has friends around him that I know that I'm sure have spoken to him and advised him and gone through a good amount of this stuff with him, but he still decided to do that. So it is what it is. And, recently I watched Braxton Hunter actually commented on this. Trinity Radio. I'm just doing a bunch of advertisement today. This was a really good one. As a matter of fact, let's watch this together because it's 3 minutes. Let's watch Braxton's video, okay? Hang on. Let's see. You guys want to watch this together? Let's watch this together. Okay. This should be interesting. I think Braxton's got some really cool stuff to say. Uh-oh. We don't have audio coming through. That's weird. Keep going off here. Oh. Just realized something's missing. This happens every once in a while, and I literally don't know why. Okay, so we'll figure it out right now. Thank you for this live show. I have to go, but keep up the good work. Hey, thank you. Thanks, MC. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. So weird, man. I don't know. Can't get it through. There's an option that's supposed to be in front of me in my software that's just missing, and it's there most of the time, and it's decided not to be there today. I didn't even realize it until I was going to play this video. But Braxton Hunter, Trinity Radio, another apologetics channel, made this video that's really good, and he speaks about one of his friends walking away who's doing and has been doing apologetics work for some time now, and then another one goes Catholic, and that's a very obvious reference to Cameron. And he's talking about his own faith and navigating these sorts of stuff and the conversation he has. Good video, by the way. Just go watch it on your own time. It's 3 minutes long, so it's good. I watched Gavin's video. It's really good. So I haven't watched it. I'll probably watch it today. But yeah. What's wrong with Catholics? Well, it depends what you mean as to what's wrong with Catholics. I mean, there's a reason why I'm not Catholic, and it's not because I'm born Protestant and I gotta be Protestant, right? Like, it's a theological matter. So there's points of contention that I have and us Protestants have with Catholic theology. That's why we're not Catholics. And so, considering that, within the YouTube kind of influenced digital creator space, Cameron's got a phenomenal channel. His interviews and all the stuff he's done with that has been very helpful to me. And I was like, I wonder what this Cameron's had that guy on. Let me go watch that interview. So yeah, like, he's become Catholic now after he says he studied the subject and he concluded that Catholicism is true, so he became Catholic. So it's sort of a big deal for a lot of people. For me, it's not a big deal because here's why it's not a big deal. I'm not in his life. I don't know this dude, right? The way his friends know him and the way his wife knows him, and so it's very different. We have to be very careful not to assume that we live life with people that the relationship is purely of a non-personal nature. Let's put, like, you watch their videos or something like that, and you don't really know them. Some of you guys, the cool thing is some of you guys I get to know off camera, like emails, right? Messages, like our Discord group or something like that. But that's great because then we get to know each other, and then there's a different kind of relationship than like fans, which it's not something I like or enjoy. Like, I'm a fan. So I don't want a fan, man. What do you think I am? And this is like, people just get attracted to like athletes and celebrities and stuff like that in that kind of a manner as well. And then they make a decision and you're like going all crazy over it. It's like, it has zero impact on your life. Have you watched Trent Horn debate John White? You mean James White, I'm guessing. Or you might mean John White. I don't know who John White is. But no, I haven't seen that. And you with the Arabic language on your comment should be blocked, bro, hypocrite, Muslim, coward. What? Hey. Oh, the truth will set you free? Wait, hang on here, man. This is... Hey, Taluani, I don't even know how to say this. Twalaina. Don't be ignorant. Do you know the amount of Arabic Christian friends I have? They write and read, and They're Arabs. That's their language. Now, how do you get off saying stuff like this, man? Okay, so this is a strike for you because that individual is clearly claiming to be a Christian. And you're calling them a Muslim for having Arabic? What? Okay, should be blocked. The truth was. Okay, was there a couple of comments made that I didn't catch here? How do you balance? Okay. Are you sure you believe in Christian? Okay. Yeah, that's your strike. For like that's just like flat out ignorance. And I can't stand that stuff. I don't like stupidity. You're taking the words out of my mouth, Arthur. Hey, what's up, Future? How you doing? It's a nice Monday. So I don't understand this sort of hostility, right? Like, do we somehow just think the Muslims own the Arabic language? What do you think about Qatar as hosts? Many people boycott the World Cup. So this is probably a conversation that people should have had 10 years ago, as some have said, and I agree with it. And some of us were actually against it from 10 years ago. And there's all sorts of corruption and there's all sorts of weird stuff in the background. But my issue with this is that considering the countries in the world that have never hosted a World Cup, that have had a solid presence, you could say, in the World Cup throughout the year, like Sweden. Like, I don't think the World Cup has ever been held in Sweden. Like Uruguay. I don't think the World Cup has ever been in Uruguay, and these are countries that regularly. Maybe they don't have the infrastructure or something like that, but I think you can do it. I think they can make it work. Even like it was really cool when the World Cup was hosted in Korea and Japan, and that changed kind of, I think, soccer, but they had their leagues and they were functioning, and so that's what my issue is predominantly. I don't necessarily have an issue with like, oh, they're not allowing they're not allowing any alcohol at the stadiums. Yeah, that's their country. They can do whatever they want. I don't mind that. Oh, they're not allowing us to, wave our LGBTQ flags and stuff like that. Good. That's their country. They don't want that stuff in their country. Why are, predominantly the Europeans, why are you guys trying to like impose your ideas in that sense? Right? They don't want it. They have a right not to want it. I think Hugo Lloris, I was watching an interview. Hugo Lloris is the French goalkeeper, said when people come to France, and France has had issues with some of this stuff. He said when people come to France, we expect them to live by French culture and French norms and all this stuff. There was like a ban on hijabs in France, or not the hijabs, but burqas. I don't know whether that's still the case, but there's these things that they do in France that maybe hasn't been done other places and we're not aware of. And he goes, so why am I going to go there and wear a LGBTQ armband? Like, it's their country. They don't want it, and I'm not going to wear it. I'm going to respect their customs. I think that's sensible, right? And again, I personally reject LGBTQ as well. Yeah, so I do too. So for me, it's not that. Now there might be other issues that happen, right? Like, are they giving the death penalty to like gay people? Like, so those are some other issues that could come to the surface. Or like, can women not drive cars? right? Like, so there's all these sorts of other issues that come to the surface where it could be at, but we lump all of them into one another. I mean, consider the situation that's happening in Iran right now. Today in the morning, a bunch of the Iranian players didn't sing their national anthem. And a bunch of the fans booed the national anthem of their country that they love quite a bit. And if you're not familiar with what's happening in Iran right now, you should pay attention to it. And it has to do with head coverings. It has to do with the hijab. And women don't want to wear it. And they're being beaten and killed over not wanting to wear it. I just think, hey, if you want to wear it, wear it. You're a Muslim, you think that your religion teaches you to wear that, then wear it. I'm not going to tell you not to wear it. But if there's people who don't want to wear it in your country, let them not wear it. And I say that, look, my parents are from Iran, and they were there when the revolution happened in 1979. It went from not wearing any hijabs to wearing hijabs. My wife was born and raised in Iran. And at a certain age, when she was as a young girl, they essentially said, you need to wear this. But she's not a Muslim. She doesn't need to wear a head covering. Right? So even non-Muslims have to wear head coverings because it's forced on the populace. So those are things I would be against. Those are a lot more important issues, in my opinion. And not treatment of certain people could be an issue, but if you want them just like accept your worldview, why are you trying to why are you trying to export your worldview on a nation that very clearly doesn't want it? And then using the World Cup and things of this sort. Like, just don't have the World Cup there. You don't like it? If you don't like that they have certain norms in their countries, don't have the World Cup there. Go have it in a country that is okay. Have it in the United States every single year. Have it in England. You can wear your rainbow laces and whatever else. Right? But don't go to a country where they don't accept that stuff and then say we're going to have it here, but then we're going to like do all this like boycotting. And now some of the boycotting has been over like the workers who built the stadiums, and a bunch of people have died, and it was borderline, if not completely, slave labor. Like there's these sorts of accusations that make it a lot more serious, because then it's directly connected to the World Cup, because they're building stadiums for the World Cup. It has nothing to do with their national kind of culture and religion and worldview. It's, let's just say they build a structure. Let's just say, I'm just making stuff up. Say they build like a stadium, not a stadium, a hotel, and a bunch of people died in the building of the hotel, and nobody cared about them and stuff like that. And here you are, you're going to go and your players are going to live in that hotel, and you go, no, this is inhumane, you guys. Or they use like full-on slave labor. It's like, no, we don't want to stay in that hotel. And we want to boycott it. That's a different conversation. It's a more serious conversation. It's a more nuanced conversation. But for me, I have like issues with it soccer-wise. There's plenty of other countries that the World Cup could be hosted, like Italy, Spain, Portugal, right? I don't know. Do we know who's hosting the World Cup in 2030? There will be 48 contenders, 6 conference venues to be decided. So yeah, 2026, we got Canada, Mexico, and the United States. 3 countries. I mean, the United States can host this thing alone. Mexico can host it alone. I'm not sure about Canada, but Mexico's hosted it alone. But they added 3 major countries to host this, and then you get Qatar hosting it alone. So European bids, Spain, Portugal, Ukraine. Well, Ukraine will be very difficult, but Spain, Portugal would be a really cool one. South Americans want to do Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, right? Like there's all these countries who want to do these things. So yeah, enough of that. Who knows they're using Allah for their belief? Yeah, plenty of Arabs use the word Allah to reference God. Because that's what the word means. It means God. I have friends who've written papers on this stuff, and they're missionaries. Like, again, you're speaking out of ignorance. Do not be ignorant. Oh, they're using the word Allah. That's what God means in their language. Don't like hypocrite Christians. They're not hypocrites. Just because you say someone's a hypocrite doesn't mean they're a hypocrite. You're being ignorant. If you come to me and you say, why are you using the Armenian word for God or creator or something like that? Because in previous times that had a meaning to something else. Now my reference is going to be because that's the word we have and the meaning we give to it. And so I'm going to use that word to be a reference to this. The Bible, as a matter of fact, does this. This is why I say you're ignorant. The Bible does this. The word El, God, or Elohim, gods, is a reference. The word El is a reference to the Canaanite god El, which also means God. But there was a Canaanite god named El. This is why in the Bible you will see it qualified by saying Yahweh your God, Yahweh your El, so that people don't get it confused with the Canaanite god El. But El means God. So the Bible does it. So when the Arabic Christians use the word Allah to be a reference to God, what's your problem? They're Christians. They're not hypocrites. And they're not hypocrites because you say they are. As a matter of fact, you're the one who's being ignorant. Now, I think this is a bit different, for example, like within the Iranian context. So Iranian Christians don't like using, generally speaking, Iranian Christians don't generally like using the word Allah to be a reference to God, which is what 911 Glock is saying. So in Farsi, they use the word Khoda. Khoda means Lord, okay? But because Allah is an Arabic word that has been imported into the Iranian language or exported into the Iranian language, and it has such a Muslim meaning to it, Iranian Christians don't like using it, so therefore they don't use it. They go, we have our own language, and in our language, Khoda does the job. And so we're going to refer to God as Khoda. So to say an Arabic Christian whose language is Arabic cannot use the word Allah to be a reference to God, I find to be words have meanings, and that word has that meaning, and it can be used by anyone. If we're talking about God, clearly the Christian means something else. Look at the English word. Can the Muslim use the word God? Of course. And can the Christian use the word God? Of course. But we have two different meanings to the word God. For example, we believe in a Trinitarian God, and they don't, and so therefore we have the two different meanings. It's the same. We're using the word, but we're giving it different meanings. You can get into the philosophy of language on all this stuff, but what you shouldn't be doing is like jumping into my comment section and accusing someone of being a hypocrite. I'm just not going to tolerate that. So this is your warning, especially when it comes to offending other people who are Christians. In my chat saying that they're hypocrites and they're fake Muslims or something like that. It's apparent that there is a God, but every religion claims to believe in the real God. Correct. Well, yeah, obviously. It would be really weird if some religion was like, hey, we believe in the fake God. That would be really strange. Okay, guys, it's 2:37. We've been on for an hour and a half. Okay, we'll call it a day here. I got a couple of things to do, and that's important. So, why don't we say goodbye or good evening or good night or whatever like that? If you're on the East Coast, it's already 5:00. It's 5:30. It's dinner time, guys. You're cooking or something like that. Who knows? Enjoy it. Enjoy your day. And I will see you guys Wednesday, definitely, but maybe tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how this works. But with all that said, take care. God bless you guys, and I will see you later.